I think almost everybody who gets into hobby electronics at some point was inspired by the Star Trek Tricorder. A handheld device that tells you about the world around you is such a cool concept. You're on some alien planet and you whip that thing out, and in 5 seconds you know if the air is breathable, if the temperature is livable, or if local radiation is about to end your pitiful existence. That's awesome! Now we all carry something way more powerful than that in our pocket. Everyone knows that there's more computing power in a modern smartphone than what got us to the moon, but it doesn't quite capture that magic. Your phone can't actually tell you what's happening right now, where you're standing, and I want something that can. Last December, I bought my first house, and being me, I wanted a challenge, so I got something old with character that was built in 1900. It's been renovated over the years, modern power, plumbing, and some drywall work, but the heating system is still stuck somewhere around the 1960s. I have baseboard electric heaters. Coming from Austin, I was used to cheap electricity. It's just a fact of life, so I didn't think twice. I ran them in high my first cold month in the house, thinking how much could a few heaters really cost? My first electricity bill showed up, and it was almost $1,000. I realized I had to make some upgrades much sooner than I had originally planned. So I went around and I turned off every heater in the house. All of them. If a room wasn't occupied, it was not getting heat. The house quickly dropped below freezing. My girlfriend was cold, my dog was cold. A friend came up to congratulate me on the new place, took one look around and quickly started calling me Mr. Snow Miser. Everybody was miserable. After some research, I landed on mini splits. My area gets down to -14 some nights, so this wasn't going to be a DIY job. I called a local company, got a quote for a 4-head system, and I had them installed that week. Suddenly, things were livable again. I was still running them conservatively. That bill had left a mark, but it was livable. Then I would walk out into the shop, and I would be freezing again. Back inside, I noticed that the rooms with the mini splits felt fantastic, but anything nearby was a completely different temperature. And that got me thinking. I couldn't just be guessing at ambient temperature of a room. Guessing could mean moisture building up somewhere I couldn't see it, and if I actually wanted to track down insulation problems, I couldn't just trust my senses to do it. I needed something like a tricorder. Now, I didn't build a tricorder right away, but the image in my head was some Enterprise crew member whipping out a device and reading off the local stats. I wanted to do that. So I looked around and naturally landed on the DHT11, one of the cheapest, easier beginner sensors out there. I had one sitting in a kit from when I first got into the hobby. I wired it up to an ESP32, and I felt like Spock. I threw together a shell for it without really knowing what the final version would look like, just getting things done. What came out was very much a sci-fi prop, simple cylinder with a flat side, some grips, very reminiscent of 70s Doctor Who, basic shapes that gets the point across. I took it around the house, temperatures seemed fine, humidity was all over the place. It turns out that the DHT11 is only accurate within about a 5 to 10 digit range from the show and temp percentage in either direction, which explains a lot. There has to be a better sensor out there. A little bit of Googling led me to the BME280, and this got me excited, because it's not just the cheapest option for the job, it's a specialty one. Ooh, ah. Way better accuracy, and it adds pressure to the mix. Now we're talking tricorder. I ordered a few, waited on the slow boat from Amazon, and I slapped together version 2. It worked fantastically. I added a couple new screens, feels like temperature, altitude, and pressure, took it around the house again, and it turns out there's real room for improvement in my insulation. If I kill the heat in a room, it becomes freezing again within about an hour, but it couldn't tell me much more than that. What it turned out to be great at was camping and hiking. Your weather app on your phone is pulling from a sensor or an average somewhere nearby, not exactly where you're standing. Out in the mountains, that gap gets big. A shaded valley can run 15 degrees colder than a sun-soaked ridge just a few hundred feet away. And that matters. It's the difference between packing the right gear for the trip or finding out the hard way that you're in for a rough night. And on a hike when it feels like 100 degrees out, it's nice to actually know instead of just guessing. So version 1 did its job. It's a great little pocket tool. I took it camping a few times, I've taken it around the house. It's always had something on its screen worth trusting. But it couldn't tell me why a room was cold. It couldn't tell me if a wall was cold enough for that moisture I was worried about to actually become a problem. It could tell me if something was happening. It couldn't help me investigate it. And by this point, I already know what I want next. Point it at a surface, get its temperature. Track how fast something's heating or cooling. A little bit of distance orientation would be nice, some better software, and if I'm being honest, I want it to be a little bit more fun to use. So I started ordering parts. I built version 1 because my house was cold and I wanted better information. Turns out I was building the tricorder I always wanted, I just didn't know it yet. And it already told me exactly what to build next.